We're making no-bake chocolate mint protein bars that are gluten-free, easy to make, and with clean ingredients. They're packed with protein, healthy fats, and fiber for a satisfying snack that tastes like dessert. Hello, my name is Nicole Bonilla, and if you love healthier recipes for our favorite foods, then you are in the right place. To make these really easy protein bars, we're going to start with a food processor, or you could use a blender. We're going to start by adding some oat flour. Now you could either use store-bought or you could use old-fashioned or some quick oats. Dump them into your food processor or blender, blend them up for about 20 to 30 seconds, and then you have a really great fine oat flour. So we're going to go ahead and add 1/3 cup of oat flour. Now you're welcome to jot down these ingredients as we go along, or you can click on the link that's in the video description below. And that will take you to the full recipe that has nutrition facts, ingredients and substitutions, as well as frequently asked questions. Next, we're going to add 1/2 cup of chocolate protein powder. And this is my favorite brand because it's organic and naturally sweetened. And I've included a link in the description if you'd like to check it out. Next, we're going to add 1/3 cup of cashew butter, but you could use any nut butter that you like. I really like the cashew butter because the flavor is really subtle, which I think is a great complement to the mint flavor. And for a little more protein and moisture, we're going to add 3 tablespoons of Greek yogurt, but you could also use cottage cheese or just some milk. Next, we're going to add 3 tablespoons of maple syrup, 2 tablespoons of ground flaxseed, a tablespoon of cocoa powder, a tablespoon of coconut oil, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Next, we're going to add 1/2 teaspoon of mint extract, and you'll want to be careful not to add too much because this can make it taste a little bit like toothpaste. And 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And then we'll just put on our lid and blend this on high until it's well combined. If it starts to form this nice big ball, you'll know it's perfect. You can also pull out a little piece and make sure it's not too sticky. If it's too sticky, go ahead and add a little bit more almond flour. And if it's too dry, then go ahead and add a little bit more Greek yogurt. But this is perfect. To shape the bars, all we need is like a 4x8 or a 4x9 inch bread pan. But you can also double this recipe very easily and then just use an 8x8 inch pan. And I find it works really well to line the pan first with some parchment paper because then it's really easy to get the bars in and out of the pan. So I've just cut the width the same length as my pan. And then I'll just press it down inside and fold the edges up and over. Then we just dump in our dough. And then I'll go ahead and just use my hands to start spreading this out in the pan. And now that I have it pretty evenly distributed, I'm going to go in with a silicone spatula and then just press it down nice and firm. And the firmer you press it down, the easier these will be to cut and they will hold their shape best. And I really like using a silicone spatula because it's real flexible and doesn't stick to the dough. And it already has that chocolate mint smell. Now, if you could use more healthy inspiration on a regular basis, I invite you to join my email list. All you have to do is click on the link in the video description below, and that is the best way for us to stay connected. Now, this is optional, but I like to sprinkle on a few mini chocolate chips on top of the bars. And I really like using this Enjoy Life brand because they're gluten-free and dairy-free. But you could use any chocolate chips that you like. So I'm just going to sprinkle in about 2 tablespoons of these mini chocolate chips. And then I'll go ahead and just press them down into the bars. And maybe add a few more if needed. And then I'll go ahead and let this hang out in the freezer while we melt down our white chocolate that will drizzle on top. Now, since we're making mint protein bars, I think it's really fun to have a green white chocolate drizzle on top of the bars. But to color melted white chocolate, you have to use an oil-based food coloring. Or as an organic option, we can use some natural powdered food coloring. So in a microwave-safe bowl, I've just added 2 teaspoons of coconut oil and melted it. And then to get that green color, we're going to use some spirulina powder. And I've included a link in the video description if you'd like to check this out. So I'm going to add 1/4 teaspoon of spirulina powder right into the coconut oil. Now this green powder is going to turn the chocolate to more of like a blue-green, but to get it in a nice minty green, we're going to go ahead and add a little bit of turmeric powder. So by adding 1/8 of a teaspoon of turmeric powder, it's going to give that green more of a minty yellowy green. And then I'm just going to stir this together with a spoon. Next, I'm going to add in 1/4 cup of some white chocolate, and you can use any white chocolate chips that you like or white chocolate wafers like I'm using. And then we're just going to microwave this in 25-second intervals, stirring it in between until it's smooth and melted. So after our first round of 25 seconds, we can see the chocolate is just starting to melt. So I'm just going to give this a good stir, and then we'll put it back in the microwave for another 25 seconds. So after our second round, we can see that our chocolate is even more melted. So I'm going to give this a really good stir. You can see how we're getting this really beautiful mint green color. Now there are a lot of really great natural green food coloring liquids, but just remember if it's water-based, you cannot add that to white chocolate without having an undesirable result. So you'll need to use an oil-based food coloring or the powders like we are. Well, now that is perfect and ready to drizzle over our bars. Well, here's our bars after hanging out in the freezer for a few minutes. And we can just lift them right up and out with our parchment paper. And then you can decide how small you want to cut these bars. I have found that cutting them into 6 bars works really well. So I'll go ahead and just cut it in half, and then just cut each half into thirds. Now before we drizzle on the chocolate, I want to give a little bit of distance between the bars so that chocolate can kind of run down the sides. So go ahead and just turn these 90 degrees and give them about 1/4 of an inch in between. And then we can drizzle our chocolate along the tops at the same time, but it's going to drip down the sides. So I'll just put a little bit here in my spoon and just start drizzling back and forth. There's really no right or wrong way to do this. Oh, those look so good. That green color is gorgeous. And then as an option before the chocolate sets, you can go ahead and sprinkle on just a little bit of some coarse sea salt, which is a fun balance to this sweet chocolate. And then you can put these into your fridge or your freezer until they set. I like to keep mine in the freezer to be able to have a nice sweet treat when I have that chocolate craving. And it's time for a sample. That is delicious. As soon as you bite in, you get that soft but firm, satisfying texture of the bar, and you get a little bit of crunch coming in from the chocolate, and then you get that really soft mint flavor that just goes throughout. And I love the depth of flavor that comes in from the oat flour as well as the cashew butter. And what I love most is that it's made with clean, natural ingredients. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me today in my kitchen. I've included a link to the full recipe and it's in the video description below, and that will take you to my website, gentletummy.com. And I also invite you to like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I cannot wait to have you hang out with me again in my kitchen.